What's up guys, it's me, Kidar, and in this video, we'll be taking a look at the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the first trading card game I ever played, and it holds a special place in my heart. Yu-Gi-Oh! Isn't just a trading card game, but it's also a manga and an anime series, and in this video, I'll be taking a look at all three. Remember that this video is the fourth part in a series in which I talk about trading card game history, so check out my older videos in the series and stay tuned for more content. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video.
What if there was one piece missing from the puzzle that is you? What if there's one piece that could change your life, and once found, you become an entirely different person? A person who emitted an aura of confidence and was a king of games. This is the premise of Yu-Gi-Oh!, a manga about games created by Kazuki Takahashi. Initially, Takahashi wanted to draw a horror-themed manga, and some of these horror aspects made its way into the final product. When making the manga, battle was the primary focus Takahashi had in mind, and since so much manga had been focused on fighting, he wanted an original concept. He decided to create a manga in which the main character doesn't hit or fight anybody, and found that concept really hard to work with, until he decided that battle would be fought out with games. Takahashi had always loved games and had been obsessed with them as a kid. Takahashi considered the player to be the main character and a hero, and he decided to base Yu-Gi-Oh! Around the concept of the player being a hero. His main character, Yugimoto, was a very petite, shy, and weak child who became a confident hero when playing games. Whenever Yugi played games, he transformed into Dark Yugi, a strong, intelligent, and powerful player of games. The plot revolves around a high schooler named Yugi who oftentimes gets bullied and picked on. Yugi's grandfather gives him an unsolvable puzzle that grants a great reward to whomever completes it. After many days, Yugi finally completes the puzzle and gets possessed by a mysterious spirit who is a master of games. Afterward, whenever Yugi or his friends get threatened, the Dark Yugi shows himself and challenges the threat to a shadow game, which reveals the true personality of the threat, and the loser of that shadow game gets a dark and dangerous punishment called a penalty game. The games range from playing card games to role-playing games to games of dexterity to so much more, but one specific game caught the eye of viewers, and that was Magic and Wizards. In the Yu-Gi-Oh! Plot, it was a card game created by businessman Maximilian Pegasus and was based on ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics and artifacts. This game of Magic and Wizards became popular with the fan base, and eventually Yu-Gi-Oh! Shifted its focus to the Magic and Wizards card game, now called Duel Monsters. The new plot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Centered around Yugimoto, who is still weak and petite, who completes the Millennium Puzzle, and unlocks the spirit of an amnesiac pharaoh who is strong, confident, and a master of games. Throughout the series, Yugi aims to be the king of games, return the pharaoh to his home, and stop those who intend to misuse the mystical powers of the pharaoh. Alongside this, Konami, a game company, released the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game in 1999 in Japan and in March of 2002 in North America. Yu-Gi-Oh! Already popular from its manga and anime, skyrocketed. Yu-Gi-Oh! Continued to introduce new spin-off shows with new characters and a new plot, and the interesting part was, the card game grew almost in tandem with the plot. Cards and mechanics in the actual game were influenced by cards and manga. In October of 2004, a new spin-off series of Yu-Gi-Oh! Called Yu-Gi-Oh! GX was aired. This series takes place 10 years after the original Yu-Gi-Oh! And it follows the next generation of Duel Monsters players, or duelists, who attend Duel Academy, a school for playing Duel Monsters. The main character, Jaden Yuki, is a student who attends Duel Academy and has the ability to communicate with the spirits of trading cards. Throughout the series, Jaden makes new friends and enemies and faces threats from both his world and an alternate universe. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX was focused on a very important aspect of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, and that was archetypes, or sets of themed cards that work together. Characters in the show had themed decks, such as Jaden having a superhero-themed deck, and his rival having a deck themed on mechanical beasts that combine with each other to create huge monsters. Alongside the show, archetypes were introduced in the actual trading card game, and the concept of archetypes remains today and continues on in the future shows of Yu-Gi-Oh! After Yu-Gi-Oh! GX came the introduction of a new card type in Yu-Gi-Oh! And a new show that started. In Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, the next incarnation of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, the characters focused on Synchro Monsters, which were a unique type of card focused on the level or number of stars on other cards. The plot of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds is stranger than the plots of the previous shows, and is set in a futuristic city called Neo-Domino City, and the neighboring slum area called the Satellite. Duel Monsters is still present in Neo-Domino City, and is played on motorcycles. The main character, Yusei Fudo, who lives in the slums, is an aspiring card game playing motorcyclist, but is forbidden from playing Duel Monsters or building a motorcycle as he lived in the slums. The show is centered on Yusei's goal to become the king of games and stop an ancient evil from rising. The Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's anime ushered in a new era, which is focused on summoning and playing these powerful synchro monsters that were introduced in 5Ds as quickly as possible. Yu-Gi-Oh! Turned from having the biggest and most powerful monsters to having a more elaborate plan and strategy to overcome your opponent. The next step in Yu-Gi-Oh! Came in 2011 with the introduction of Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal introduced Xyz summoning in a new type of card called Xyz Monsters. These cards could be played by stacking two cards with the same level or number of stars, which are equal to the rank or number of black stars in the Xyz monster, on top of each other, and placing the Xyz monster on top. These Xyz monsters often had effects that could be activated by detaching the cards below it and sending them to the graveyard. The plot revolves around Yuma Tsukumo, an aspiring but amateur Duel Monsters player who shares a body with an amnesiac spirit named Astral. The story follows Yuma and Astral as they collect number cards, which are fragments of Astral's memory, and they reveal the true intentions and personality of their wielder. The rise of Xyz monsters led to a further one-turn kill potential in Yu-Gi-Oh! As they were easily summonable. Decks gained extra utility cards with easily playable and powerful Xyz monsters. This accessibility and power came at a cost, however. The power level of cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Started to creep higher and higher. Powerful new archetypes such as the Zodiacs arose. These cards were far more powerful than other archetypes at the time, as they worked so well with each other. Yu-Gi-Oh! Started to take a turn for the worse. After Zexal arose the Pendulum Era, and with it a new anime, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V. Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V included Pendulum Monsters, cards that blurred the line between spells and monster cards, and had the ability to mass summon monsters. The plot of Arc V follows Yuya Sakaki, who is an aspiring dual-tainer, a combination of a duelist and theatrical performer. Yuya and his friends must protect their world from an interdimensional conflict caused by Yuya's incarnations in other dimensions. Pendulum Summoning took Yu-Gi-Oh's already one-turn kill-focused gameplay and turned it up 10 notches. Pendulum Summoning allowed for an easy way to mass summon creatures, generally fielding 3 or more at a time. Pendulum Summoning made playing Synchro and Xyz monsters even easier, and turns took forever to complete, as players were creating combos with their cards like never seen before. With the rise of certain archetypes such as the Supreme King and different Dimension Demon archetypes, Yu-Gi-Oh! Became far more complicated, and more focused on who had the best archetype instead of who had the best strategy. Yu-Gi-Oh! Seemed to be lost, until the advent of Link Summoning. Pendulum Summoning had made one-turn kills extremely popular in Yu-Gi-Oh! And instead of simply playing cards on your turn, players were taking turns that lasted several minutes long at a time. Players could summon insane amounts of monsters in a single turn, and with the lack of a resource system to balance cards out, Yu-Gi-Oh! Had a problem. Then, in 2017, a new anime and card type arose that didn't completely fix the problem that Pendulum Summoning brought, but at least slowed the pace of Yu-Gi-Oh! Down a bit. Link Monsters, the new type of monster that was introduced, had a simple summoning technique. Send a specified number of monsters that fit a certain type, attribute, or level criteria to your graveyard to summon a Link monster. These Link monsters limited the number of Pendulum monsters you could resummon and reduced the severe impact that Pendulum monsters caused in Yu-Gi-Oh! The plot of the new Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, called Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, revolves around somebody named Yusaku Fujiki, a hacker who is traumatized with PTSD. He enters a virtual reality dueling space called Link Vrains to find out who is behind the traumatic event that plagued his childhood and protects an artificial intelligence program who knows answers to Yusaku's past from a group of hackers known as the Knights of Hanoi. With the rise of Link monsters and a major rework to Yu-Gi-Oh!, the pace of the game has slowed down considerably and is for the better. Link monsters initially restricted the use of Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, and Pendulum monsters, but it harmed quite a few archetypes in the process. Link monsters were reworked to limit the use of Pendulum monsters alone, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Has recovered slightly from the madness that was Pendulum summoning. Yu-Gi-Oh! Continues to grow today, with the popularity of its manga and anime bolstering that growth. As more shows and more cards come out, Yu-Gi-Oh! Will continue to evolve and stay as one of the trading card game titans. In the next video, I'll take a look at one of Yu-Gi-Oh!'s greatest rivals, Pokemon.
And that's it. That's the history of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. Please leave a like on this video and subscribe for more content, as well as comment any other facets of trading card game history you would like to know down below. If you'd like to get your hands on the next step in the trading card game history, the newly released Gladiator trading card game, a link to the shop page will be in the description down below. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video.